So this is video 25. We will continue with peritoneal dialysis. As I told you earlier, this is the other type of dialysis that is done for the patient. So now we will see how exactly it is done, okay, and then what are the complications the patient can actually develop, and care of a nurse during before the procedure. So talking about peritoneal dialysis is a treatment for patients with severe chronic kidney failure. So it is a choice of the patient, whichever they want, they can choose either peritoneal dialysis, or if they want hemodialysis, they can do. The main advantage is peritoneal dialysis can also be done in the home. Okay, but then hemodialysis is very challenging to be done in the home setup, but peritoneal dialysis can be done in the home setup or in the special wards where they are. So hemodialysis patient has to be shifted to the dialysing ward, right? So to the dialysing room. But here it is not required. The nurse itself can come to the private room or wherever the patient is staying. There she can start with the peritoneal dialysis. Remember this. So waste and water are removed from the body, from the blood inside the body using the peritoneal membrane as a natural semi-permeable membrane. So in the hemodialysis, we have seen that there is a dialysate which is having cellophane membrane which has got lots of various numerous fibers, which is a semi-permeable membrane, and then it will allow two mechanisms, diffusion and osmosis. So here the peritoneal membrane itself will act as a semi-permeable membrane, and the fluids will move in the two mechanism of osmosis and diffusion. So here a catheter will be placed, okay, from the catheter to the peritoneal cavity. From the peritoneal cavity, a catheter will be placed. So to that catheter, the solution will be infused. Okay, so we will see the procedure, the different types that is done. So we do not require any artificial membrane here, but dialysate solution will be given. It will be kept in the body and it will be drained. Okay, so how there we are pouring the dialysate solution and then it is drained after the use. So likewise it is also done, but dialysate is not required because the peritoneal membrane itself will act as a semi-permeable membrane. Okay, so waste and excess water move from the blood across the peritoneal membrane and into the special dialysis solution called dialysate in the abdominal cavity, which has composition similar to the fluid portion of blood. In peritoneal dialysis, a sterile solution containing minerals, so solution which we are giving, it is very rich in minerals and glucose, is run through a tube into the peritoneal cavity. So catheter is there which is connected, and from the solution is run through the tube into the peritoneal cavity, the abdominal cavity around the intestine, where the peritoneal membrane acts as a semi-permeable membrane. So the peritoneal membrane or peritoneum is a layer of tissue containing blood vessels. So when we say this peritoneal membrane, it has got layer of tissues, it has got blood vessels that lines and surrounds a peritoneal or abdominal cavity, and the internal abdominal organs like stomach, spleen, liver and intestine. So the dialysate is left there for a period of time to absorb. So once the solution is sent, it will be kept there for a period of time so that it will absorb waste products, and then it is drained through the tube and discarded. Okay, this cycle or exchange is normally repeated 4 to 5 times during the day. So it is, it is done again 4 to 5 times so that the blood is getting purified. Sometimes more often overnight, okay, with an automated system. So in the night we will study in the types. Okay, so in the night when we do, it doesn't require anybody because it can be done under automated system. So automatically it will stay. After some time it will only drain by itself. Ultrafiltration occurs via osmosis. The dialysis solution used contains a high concentration of glucose and resulting osmotic pressure causing fluid move from the blood into the dialysate. As a result, more fluid is drained than was instilled. So because of this, more water also can get drained. Okay, and then peritoneal dialysis is less efficient than hemodialysis. It is less efficient, but because it is carried out for a longer period of time, the net effect in terms of removal of waste products and of salt and water similar to hemodialysis. It is done, but it is they say hemodialysis is much effective than this. Peritoneal dialysis is carried out at home by the patient. Patient itself, once trained, he or she will be able to do it, or with a family member. So 3 types of peritoneal dialysis. So you can write down the explanation. Okay, so for the notes, for students who have your own notes. Okay, so first one is the intermittent peritoneal dialysis, or it is also called as nocturnal intermittent peritoneal dialysis. So you know what is the meaning of nocturnal? In the night. So it involves where in the night time exchanges are done, okay, and free in daytime. So only in the night time they will do the dialysis, in the sense where the patient will be having the dialysis in the night time itself it will be done. So the daytime the patient will be free. It is called as nocturnal NIPD, nocturnal intermittent peritoneal dialysis. It involves nighttime exchange and free in the daytime. Then you have continuous ambulatory peritoneal dialysis. Continuous ambulatory means where the patient can also walk actually, and peritoneal dialysis. So here after infusion of the dialysate that is done, it remains there for a prescribed time dwell. So it will be there in the patient itself. Once the dialysate is given, the solution is given, it will remain in the patient for a while until time. Then it will be drained. Okay, then the draining of the fluid can be done. So gravity moves the fluid through the catheter and out of your abdomen. So it helps even as a patient can ambulate, because of the gravity automatically it gets filtered and it comes out of the abdomen. Okay, and then you have continuous cycling peritoneal dialysis. So this kind of cyclic, it is done for about 12 to 15 hours. Okay, so daytime the dialysate will be there in the patient, it will not be drained, and 3 to 6 nighttime exchange done with automated cycler or an automated system. So what will happen? Daytime you give the peritoneal fluid, the dialysate into the abdominal cavity, which enter into the peritoneal and peritoneal membrane, which acts as a semi-permeable membrane, and through the action of osmosis and diffusion there is a filtration of the solutes that is happening, and purification that is happening. It will stay there for about in the daytime, and in the night time automatically for about 3 to 6 times it will be drained. Okay, so this is about the types of peritoneal dialysis. Next we will see nursing consideration. How would we prepare the patient, okay, for the dialysis, that is the peritoneal dialysis. So allow the client to void as per the hemodialysis. Then institute abdominal skin preparation. So make sure the skin preparation is done. The site where we do aseptically, it has to be prepared. Document the patient's weight. Check the vital signs during the procedure. We have to check the level of the electrolytes, obtain sample of return dialysate for culture. Sometimes if it is cloudy, okay, or if it is continuously being pink tinged, means bleeding. Okay, so we have to take the sample and see if there is any infection also. Then compare the client's weight before and after the procedure. Monitor the vital signs every 30 minutes and report any deviation. Provide proper positioning for the dialysate to return from the peritoneal cavity. We have to give proper position, so the gravity also is maintained, so the fluid, given fluid can be drained. Place the patient in a semi-Fowler's position. Now complication of peritoneal dialysis. When we say complication of peritoneal dialysis, excessive loss of fluid can result in hypovolemic shock, because if osmosis happens, there are chances for more fluid to be lost from the body. So excessive loss of fluid can result in hypovolemic shock or hypotension. While excessive fluid retention also is a problem which can lead to hypertension and edema. The volume of dialysate removed and weight of the patient are normally monitored. That's why we have to measure how much we have given, how much we have drained, and we have to check the patient's weight before and after the procedure. If more than 500 ml of fluid are retained or a liter of fluid is lost across their 3 consecutive treatments, the patient physician is generally notified. So what happens if the patient's about 500 ml is retained, or if there is 1000 ml, 1 liter of fluid loss, okay, it has to be reported. Even if it is normal, make sure that you report. So much was given, so much has been drained. Okay, it is always good to keep informed. We cannot be negligent. Oh, if the patient loses, then I will inform. Nothing like that. You can just keep an account, okay, and tell them. Okay, then also secondly, also monitor the color of the fluid. As I told you, if it is pink tinged, it can because of bleeding. It is cloudy appearance. So initially when you see for 4 cycle, okay, for initial 4 cycle, it will be little pink tinged, but later it becomes clear and pale. Okay, but if this bloody appearance is still there, it can indicate bleeding. If it is cloudy appearance, it indicates infection. So for about 3 to 4 cycle, it can be blood tinged, then it becomes pale or yellow afterwards. If it continues to be pink or blood tinge, then it is because of bleeding. Cloudy appearance indicates infection. Then the patient may also experience pain or discomfort if the dialysate is too acidic. Okay, the solution what you are giving, if it is too acidic, it can actually lead to pain. Too cold, if you give it introduced too quickly, you have kept it in the freezer or in the cold box, thermocol box, or in the refrigerator, and you are giving, it can actually cause cramps also. Okay, too cold or introduced too quickly also you cannot give. While diffuse pain with cloudy discharge may indicate an infection. If pain is there and if you see a discharge cloudy appearance, then it is because of the infection. Severe pain in the rectum or perineum can be the result of improperly placed catheter. If the patient is telling that I'm having pain in the rectum area or perineal area, it can be because of displaced catheter. The peritoneal catheter, what would have been inserted already, it could have got misplaced in the patient. Then the dwell can also increase pressure on the diaphragm. You cannot leave it for a longer time, okay, when it is dwelling inside. Okay, so when the fluid is still inside, so it can actually cause pressure on the diaphragm. It can cause impaired breathing, and constipation can interfere with the ability of fluid flow through the catheter. If it is there, it can lead to breathing difficulty and it can lead to constipation. And other complications like infection, weight gain will be there if retention is there. Hernia, because it causes pressure over the other organs, it can lead to hernia. And inadequate dialysis. So if because of any associated problem, the dialysis can become ineffective, okay, where it is not able to do adequate purification. Okay, so these are all the various complications of peritoneal dialysis. Okay, so I'll post both the pictures, hemodialysis, then peritoneal dialysis, and difference in the pictures. So it will be easy for you to go through it. So it will be helpful, I believe. So I think you should know. Nurses, we have seen care also. So it is very important question: dialysis, hemodialysis, peritoneal dialysis, what it is, what are the types. If there are types and the diagram, please learn it, and then you should know nursing procedure before and after and complications.